You were not born just to wake up, scroll, go to school, earn money, and then disappear. Yet if you look around, that is exactly what most people are doing. They are living, but they are not thinking. And there is a difference between living and thinking. A philosopher is not someone who knows big words or reads difficult books. A philosopher is simply someone who refuses to live on autopilot. Someone who stops in the middle of life and asks, why? Why am I doing what I am doing? Why do I believe what I believe? Why do I want what I want? Most people never ask these questions, and that is why most people live lives that are not truly theirs. To think like a philosopher, the first thing you must learn is how to question. Not small questions like what career to choose or what clothes to wear, but dangerous questions. Questions like, what is a good life? What does success actually mean? Why do humans suffer? Why am I afraid of other people's opinions? Am I living my life, or am I living the life that society designed for me? These questions are uncomfortable. That is why most people avoid them. But philosophers walk toward uncomfortable questions, not away from them, because truth is usually hidden inside uncomfortable questions. The second thing you must learn is how to be alone. Modern people are never alone. There is always a screen, a song, a notification, a message, a video, noise everywhere. But thinking cannot grow in noise. Thinking grows in silence. Every great thinker in history spent a lot of time alone, not because they hated people, but because they wanted to understand life. When you sit alone with no phone, no music, no distraction, something strange happens. Your mind becomes louder. Thoughts you were avoiding start appearing. Questions you buried start coming back. This is the beginning of philosophy. When you stop running away from your own thoughts. To think like a philosopher, you must also learn how to see things differently. Normal people ask, how can I become successful? A philosopher asks, what is success? Normal people ask, how can I make more money? A philosopher asks, how much money is enough? Normal people ask, how can I be happy? A philosopher asks, what is happiness? And is it even possible to be happy all the time? Philosophers don't just try to solve problems, they question the problem itself. They step back and look at the bigger picture while everyone else is busy running inside the maze. Another important part of thinking like a philosopher is reading. But not just any reading. Read old books. Read people who are dead. Because dead people don't write to become famous on social media. They write because they spent their lives trying to understand something. When you read thinkers from the past, you realize something shocking. Humans have not changed much. People hundreds of years ago were afraid, in love, lonely, confused, ambitious, jealous, hopeful, just like us. When you realize this, you start understanding human nature. And when you understand human nature, you understand the world better. But philosophy is not just about reading and thinking. It is also about writing. Writing is thinking on paper. When you write your thoughts, you are forced to be honest. You are forced to make your thoughts clear. If you write what you believe about life, what you fear, what you want, what you think is the meaning of all this, you will slowly start discovering your own mind. Most people never discover their own mind. They know celebrities, they know brands, they know songs, they know trends, but they don't know themselves. A philosopher knows himself. Now here is something important and a little dark. If you truly want to think deeply, you must accept that life is not just happiness and success and good vibes. Life also includes death, failure, loneliness, rejection, confusion, and suffering. Philosophers do not close their eyes to these things. They look directly at them. They think about death, not to become depressed, but to understand that time is limited. And when you understand that time is limited, you stop wasting your life on meaningless things. You start asking, if I am going to die one day, what actually matters? This question changes the way you live. Thinking like a philosopher also means you stop blindly following the crowd. The crowd is powerful, but the crowd is often wrong. The crowd once believed the earth was flat. The crowd once believed many false things. If you always follow the crowd, you will never think for yourself. A philosopher listens to everyone but believes only what is true. This requires courage, because the moment you start thinking differently, people will call you strange, different, or wrong. But every great thinker in history was called strange before they were called great. There is also a certain loneliness in thinking deeply. When you start questioning everything, you start seeing the world differently. Conversations change. Interests change. The things that excite everyone else may not excite you anymore. You start observing more and talking less. You start listening more and reacting less. You start realizing that many people are not thinking. They are just repeating what they heard somewhere else. This can make you feel alone. But this loneliness is not empty. It is full of understanding. To think like a philosopher, you must train your mind to do 3 things: observe, question, and reflect. Observe the world like you are watching a movie. Question why things are the way they are. Reflect on your own life like you are both the player and the observer. Ask yourself often, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? Where is this leading me? Is this the life I want? Or is this the life I was told to want? In the end, thinking like a philosopher is not about having all the answers. It is about learning how to live with questions. It is about becoming comfortable with not knowing everything. It is about searching for truth instead of comfort. Because comfort makes you sleep, but truth wakes you up. And once you wake up, you cannot go back to sleep again. You start seeing how people chase things that don't matter. You start seeing how fear controls people's decisions. You start seeing how society rewards obedience more than thinking. And then you have a choice. Go back to sleep like everyone else, or stay awake and live consciously. So if you want to start thinking like a philosopher, start with this. Spend some time alone every day. Read books that make you think. Write your thoughts honestly. Question things people say are normal. Think about what really matters in the long term, and remind yourself that your time on this earth is limited. Not to scare yourself, but to wake yourself up. Because philosophy is not about becoming smarter. It is about becoming more aware. Aware of yourself, aware of others, aware of life, aware of time. And when you become aware, you stop living accidentally and start living intentionally. Most people exist, few people think. And the people who think change the world, or at least they change their own world. So don't just live, think. Because the moment you truly start thinking, you will never see the world the same way again.